Tom, we are back.
Yes.
Back at the water cooler for our Friday's spoiler review of The Mandalorian. And boy, do we have an episode of episodes.
This.
I'll start off by saying this.
Mm-hmm.
When we first heard when we first were giving word that Disney was buying Star Wars, was purchasing Lucasfilms,
Right.
the last 5 minutes of this episode is what every fan envisioned, but were cheated by some way that the powers that be thought we didn't want that.
No, I call the last 5 minutes of The Mandalorian episode 7. That's the real. That is the real Star Wars episode 7. Those, yes. And I say 5, but really 10 minutes because I've looked at it about 8 times already now, and so it's a clean 10 minutes that I would constitute these 10 minutes would be an entire film's worth of content. And so
exactly.
I walk away from this series, that scene as like, okay, this is everything that I read in all the novels, everything that I've wanted and that I've craved from being a Star Wars fan from a little kid. You know, when you're playing with your action figures back in the day, you know, you're imagining the things that you've seen in this episode. And
you know what?
Brought it to us.
Let's start it. Let's jump into the episode first, and then we could give our ecstatic reactions to the ending. So the episode starts off. We are in an Imperial cruiser, and we see the doctor who's being transported, presumably back to Moff Gideon.
Right.
And Slave One gives chase.
Yeah.
And Slave One does what Slave One does. It catches Slave One catches his quarry.
Yes. Now the crazy thing is, I mean, this is the first time we're getting to see Slave One in a real dogfight. But
not necessarily true.
Oh, did we
saw Slave in the dogfight in the prequels. Obi-Wan when he was chasing Jango Fett.
Jango, I forgot. Yeah, it's Jango's ship. Yeah, I'm only thinking of Boba. Yeah, so it was cool to see that. It was cool to see Slave One, you know, fly around in their ship and you know, give chase, and I mean that was cool. I'm not a big dogfight. I'm not a big dogfight guy, but it was really cool to see that. It was like taking you back to when I was a little kid and seeing Boba Fett and stuff. So, you know, I really appreciated that.
Yeah. No. So I'll say this: a scene that is going to be lost in the madness of everything that ensued was the scene between Cara Dune and the Imperial pilot. When they had their back and forth about him about the Imperials destroying Alderaan, and her asking him, well, which Death Star?
Oh yeah, that was.
you never actually look at it from an Imperial's perspective.
Right.
Like, on both Death Stars, there were over 1 million people that were on those Death Stars.
Well, I mean,
it's sort of. I'm not sure how I would feel when they say, yeah, we're gonna put you to work on the Death Star, on the Death Star.
Well, I mean, granted, there were millions of people on both Death Stars, but what can be said, like he was making light of the fact that the first Death Star destroyed Alderaan, and that was her planet. They destroyed.
And she was making light that the rebels destroyed 2 Death Stars with over 1 million people on it, and which sometimes it's hard to do it in this show, but in the novels that you and I make reference to, that is a point of contention that to a lot of people throughout the galaxy, if the Hutts are at your door continuously, what's the word I'm looking for? Oppressing you, extorting you. And here comes this group of people that say they could restore law and order to a lawless galaxy. A lot of people signed up for that.
True.
Whereas with the rebellion. I mean, you and I see how democracy works, and democracy could work. You know, could be the wheels could be the wheels could turn very slowly, but with the empire, it was more or less we come in to stomp everything out.
Right.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. But
Right.
so they get the pilot, and the pilot instructs the pilot is able. They hijack the ship, and they're able to sneak on the Moff Gideon ship in the. I don't know, the Empire, they're a bunch of dummies because they always fall for this fall from the strip. Like, we all being chased. We have to sneak aboard your
No, we can't get out of the way. We got to come in right now. Right now.
So we see Cara Dune, Bo-Katan, and damn, I forgot. We actually skipping a part.
Fennec.
No, we're skipping a part. So after the Mandalorian and Boba Fett take the Imperial vessel, they go to get help. And Tom was under the impression that no, the Mandalorian's gonna do it all by himself. He's not gonna get anybody. And I was under the impression that Tom.
I didn't think they were gonna get them. I didn't think they were gonna do it by themselves. They couldn't. It wasn't enough people.
Well, they did go and seek help. And who did they go seek help from? Bo-Katan.
Right. Now, what I also said, I wasn't against them getting Bo-Katan. I thought they might have got Bo-Katan. What I did not think they were going to get was Ahsoka. And I was right. They did not get Ahsoka.
Do not jump ahead.
Not at all. Not at all.
Do not jump ahead. So Din Djarin, Boba Fett, and what's Boba Fett's friend's name again? Fennec. They walk into a bar and they see Bo-Katan and Bo-Katan's, I forgot her friend's name.
Clan Kryze.
Oh yeah. So a discussion happens where the Mandalorian is asking, I need your help, and she goes, "We're not bounty hunters. We don't do that," sort of thing. But then he makes reference to the child.
Right.
And she sort of thinks about it, but then she sees Boba Fett standing with him, and she's like, "Well, why are you with him?"
Right.
And also another throwback to the Clone Wars. She makes
reference full of throwback.
Yes, she makes reference to the fact that I heard your voice thousands of times, in reference to Boba Fett's father, or as she made reference to the fact that he's not his father.
Don't you mean donor?
Yeah, donor. Jango Fett, who was the original blueprint of the original clone troopers, who are now known as stormtroopers.
Right. Oh, wait, no, that's incorrect. You're saying now call them stormtroopers. They're not. Well, stormtroopers are regular people. Clones.
Well, yeah. Well, they aren't clones anymore. The clone troopers became an army of stormtroopers that are not clones anymore.
The clones could shoot. Stormtroopers can't.
Yes, the clones have very good aim.
Right.
And a fight ensues between Bo-Katan's number 2 and Boba Fett. And
FYI, Snoop Dogg's niece.
Yeah, so we keep on forgetting her name.
Yeah, no, I don't have it up. I don't have it pulled up. We don't have Jamie with us today, so it'll take us like 10 minutes to do it.
But yeah, so a fight ensues, and she's not backing down.
Right. Now, who stops the fight? Is Bo-Katan, right? Not Din Djarin, right?
They both step in, and I forgot how it comes to a draw, but the fight is stopped, and they have a meeting of the mind, and Din Djarin makes reference to the kid.
Yeah, and
to the child.
To the child, and everybody loves the child. The thing is, you mention the child, everybody stops and is like, "Oh, is a problem? Okay, we got to help the little one," which you love about the show, and that everybody loves the child.
I was about to go and kill these 20 people, but you know what? Now I'm gonna come and save the child.
Exactly. It was like, the child is missing. It's like, oh, stop what we're doing. Let's find this child. So
the actress name is what is the actress? The actress name is Sasha Banks, and her name is Ahsoka Reeves.
Oh, in the show, her name is Ahsoka Reeves?
Yes.
Okay, but her real name is Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks, yes, correct.
Snoop Dogg's niece.
Yes. and they go and they decide to help Din Djarin, Boba Fett, and Fennec.
But because he's going to be on the ship with Moff Gideon and the
Oh
Dark
yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that part. She wants that. She has a real hard on for that dark saber. She
Well,
needs that dark saber.
It's very important to the Mandalorian culture.
Yes, it is. Whoever he who rules the dark saber rules the Mandalorian. I mean, can't really say they have a planet because they don't have one.
Right. Right.
Well, yeah, it's they are the ruler of the Mandalorians, or
Yes.
whoever Mandalorians choose to follow them.
Right.
And in case we've noticed, Mandalorians aren't one to do what someone else tells them to do.
Yeah, it doesn't really go well with them.
So yeah, so jumping back to where Tom and I left off, so they all team up and they sneak aboard the Imperial cruiser. But they have a plan. The plan is for Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks and what's
No, that Sasha Banks is her government.
oh yeah.
We'll just say Clan Kryze.
For Bo-Katan, for Clan Kryze and the Gunner
Fennec,
and
Cara Dune, and
yeah.
Darren.
Yeah,
they had leads with Slave One.
Yes, Boba Fett takes the TIE fighters on a little joyride for them to follow them away, which doesn't make sense. You know, the threat is gone, so why not go back to the cruise? But
the Imperials are completionists. They're the kind of guys like, oh, okay, well, we're not gonna let this just go down like that.
So they hatched this plan in which the two Mandalorians, Cara Dune and Fennec, decide that we are going to distract everyone while you go free the child. But before you free the child, we want you to basically hit like to eject the dark troopers into outer space, so we don't have to contend with them.
Right.
And as you see why that was a good idea.
Yes. It started as a good idea.
Well, no, it was a good idea in the fact that it took everything for when he goes to finally set them free. Well, not to set them free, but to dump them out in the space. One is able to break out and nearly beats the crap out of him.
Almost kills him.
Yes, but that Scar spear that he stole came in handy.
Right. Thankfully, because he was done if he didn't have that spear, and it still took everything in him to take out that
exactly. So one of the funniest scenes is when they just mowing stormtroopers down and they come to the bridge and the stormtroopers come and they're like freeze and the two Mandalorians jump off and you're like, damn, they left Cara Dune and Fennec. No, they flew back up and was like
took them all out.
So jump back into Din Djarin fighting one of the dark troopers. He ends up besting him, and he's able to eject the rest of the dark troopers in that outer space. And he goes to the cell in which Grogu is being held. But lo and behold, Moff Gideon, who always seems to be one step ahead of everyone, is in the cell. He's not on the bridge in which Cara Dune was looking for him. He's in the cell with the dark saber pointing over Grogu's head.
Wait, one last thing. Cara Dune says on the ship before they land, she said, I don't care what you do with him after, but I need to be the one that brings him down. Basically, that's what she says to everybody. I need to bring him down. Outside of that, you can do whatever you want with him. Those were her specific words. Okay, guys.
It was a foreshadowing of a discussion that was held that would need to be held later. So when the Mandalorian comes in, he sees Moff Gideon with the dark saber over Grogu's head, and he goes, "Look, I'm done. I don't want anything else. We don't need no more bloodshed. I just want Grogu, and you could go about your business."
Right.
So Moff Gideon goes, "Sure, okay." So he unignites. He turns off the dark saber and allows Din Djarin to come and collect Grogu. But as he goes to pick up Grogu, he ignites the dark saber and tries to cut his head off.
Right.
Din Djarin's head off.
Right. Which is weird because I'm sure Moff Gideon knows how Beskar works, and that was going to be fruitless.
Yeah, that wasn't the best laid. That wasn't the best laid plans. Like Ideally, he should have just ran out and got on the cruiser and
Yep.
just took off. But I don't know. He didn't seek Tom's and myself advice. He was
Right.
making his own rules up. So him and Din Djarin come to, they have a battle, and the best Scar is putting up a hell of a fight because
Yep.
he's he's just trying to slap him in every body part that he has, but
Uh-huh.
he keeps on hitting all the parts that are covered by Beskar. But it's like a whole midsection, like down here, that he could just stab them up. But for some reason,
Listen,
I guess that was un-imperial like.
what are you gonna do?
But if he was he was a mark from the Bronx or Brooklyn, we would have been stabbing him up in his midsection.
Right, he'd have been juxing him. But what are you gonna? Once again, what are you gonna do? He learned
Exactly.
from the same school that everybody else learned. Swing for the guarded parts.
Exactly. But lo and behold, that Beskar spear again comes into play. And I'm wondering, is that the same metal that Captain Phasma's spear was made of?
Oh, I don't know, because they don't really mention Beskar like that
Yeah.
in the new trilogy.
Another thing that they omitted, jackasses, but
Right, they don't really talk about Beskar in the new trilogy.
So he bests Moff Gideon and he collects Grogu and he's on his way back to the bridge to reunite with the rest of the team.
Right.
Cara Dune sees him with the Darksaber and Grogu, and she just has this shocked look on her face. And he
Right.
goes to give her the Darksaber.
Oh, and Moff Gideon brings in the Darksaber, he brings in Grogu, and he brings in a defeated, handcuffed Moff Gideon.
And he goes to give Cara Dune the Darksaber, and Moff Gideon gives off this sinister laugh. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Yep.
We
hit a glitch.
We hit a glitch. You cannot be given the Darksaber. You have to take the Darksaber. You have to best someone in battle.
Right.
Which I will give a shout out to Kristen Harloff. I was watching this podcast earlier, and he made reference to the point that in Rebels, Sabine Wren had the Darksaber and gives it to Bo-Katan in I'm not sure, was it Bo-Katan or was it I forgot the Mandalorian who she gives to, but she wasn't vested in battle. So I'm not sure when that rule came into effect.
Right.
They could always, in retrospect say that, well, after that Mandalorian said this new rule was put into effect.
Maybe even if he didn't give it to, if Sabine didn't give it to Bo-Katan, if Sabine gave it to, because if I remember Sabine having the Darksaber, but giving it to her mother.
So maybe that was the workaround.
Yeah, I remember giving the Darksaber to her mom, because her mom was the head of clan Ren. I think Sabine's clan was Ren, and I think she gave it to her mom. But that was I stopped looking at Rebels around that time. No, I looked at Rebels to the end.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know how it got to the Ren clan. I stopped watching Clone Wars.
Well, we don't know how it got to Bo-Katan. Right.
Exactly.
Because it was with the Ren. So maybe that, Christian Harlow reach out to Thomas Conklin because he just solved the he solved the workaround. It was gifted to her mother. It wasn't given to Bo-Katan.
I don't remember because I don't know Bo-Katan. So I stopped watching Star Wars, Clone Wars before Bo-Katan really got introduced. So yeah, but I do know Clan Ren under Sabine, and Sabine had it, and I remember Sabine giving it to her mom.
Okay, cool. So yeah, as our story goes, so then there's this weird back and forth where Din Djarin is trying to give the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan is basically saying, no, I can't take it that way. So that's left to hang in the air because lo and behold, remember all those Dark Troopers that Din Djarin hit the escape button on? Well, guess what? I guess he forgot the fact that they flew when they were on that planet.
That they're robots, and they're fine in space, and they could just come right back.
Exactly. So they come right back, and they are trying to tear that door down.
Right. Yep. And then and here it is.
And here it is.
The 10-minute mark. All we hear the sensors for the Death Star. I'm sorry, the destroyer. The sensors.
Proximity alert.
Yes. Everyone turns to look, and you see an X-wing flying in, and Fennec goes, "It's an X-wing," and it lands.
No,
And
no. Uh-uh.
wait,
Cara Dune goes, only one X-Wing? That's not
right, and only one
that's not
X-wing.
a
Oh,
cavalry.
we're saved. Oh, we're saved. And then you see all you see is a person with a hood and a cloak walking down the corridor. I've seen this scene 8 times back to back to back. He walks down the corridor, but you can only see him through the security cameras. He then encounters some of the dark troopers in the hangar of the destroyer, and you see a lightsaber come on, and then he starts to slice them down using the force to
No,
push
no,
them in
but
the
you are
corner.
leaving out a key attribute of that lightsaber.
No, not yet. Remember, see, this is I'm breaking it down to how I saw it. We are still seeing the lightsaber through the security cameras, and so it's still black and white, and his hood is still on. So you're still kind of like, huh, wait. So this is a Jedi clearly, but who is it? Now the thing is, I'm using deductive reasoning now. I'm like, it can't be Ahsoka because Ahsoka left the New Republic. Like, I mean, she left the Republic before it fell, and so she wasn't
Truth be
around in
told,
the.
when I first saw the X-Wing, that's who I thought it was. I said, oh, here
Ah,
comes Ahsoka to save the day. I just
right.
didn't foresee. Go on.
What right. So, but I'm saying to myself, wait, Ahsoka does not fly an X-Wing. There is only one Jedi that we have ever seen in the last 30 to 40 years of Star Wars that ever flew an X-Wing. So I'm like, okay, but it's not that person. And then we finally cut to a scene where he is fighting dark troopers in color, and the lightsaber is green.
You
And
know
once
that,
again,
but you know what that was a callback to? The
what?
scene at the end of
Exactly. That's
Rogue
literally
One.
what I was thinking. It was similar to the scene of Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One, just mowing through stormtroopers. But now we see a
Moment to
Jedi with a
Rebels.
Rebels was terrifying. It
No,
was
yeah,
terrifying.
yeah.
It was terrifying. Rebels. And and so now we're seeing this Jedi with all of this power, with a green lightsaber. Once again, I'm going. This it's just confirming more of what I said. Only of what I was thinking. Only one Jedi that I knew that who flew an X-wing that had a green lightsaber and a black glove on one hand because his father cut his hand off. But it couldn't be that Jedi because that man is 70 years old right now. And so as he still mows through, we finally the dark troopers, he's pulling them to him, slicing them down, and he gets to the last trooper and takes his gloved hand and closes it, and the dark trooper just crumbles like a soda can. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So now everyone that's in the bridge is like, don't let that person in. Are you
And in my
crazy?
head, I'm saying the line that was missing from this whole scene was,
Right.
you just saw what he did to those dark troopers, right?
Right.
You really think he doesn't, if he wanted to get in here,
Right.
that
There is no
person could not?
choice.
Yes.
We don't have a choice here. But as the Jedi, the mysterious Jedi, was coming on the security cameras, Grogu put his hand on the screen, and so Din Djarin knew that this person was a friend and had basically responded to Grogu's force signal that he put out a couple of weeks earlier.
His
But then
force Skype.
exactly, and then when they open the doors, and the Jedi walks in, and when he lifts his hood, we see that it is a young Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker, 5 years after Return of the Jedi. This, in a nutshell, was like the greatest thing that you could have ever expected from when Disney purchased Star Wars.
Yes,
Like,
this is what everyone envisioned when we saw the trailer for first trailer. When you see John Boyega's face pop up to the screen and he's
yep,
sweating, this scene at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian was what we envisioned we were getting when we
Exactly.
saw John Boyega's face wake up and all that sweat as he's in the middle of the desert. We
Exactly. Yes.
envisioned this, and a lot of the reason why a lot of Star Wars fans feel cheated is that for some reason they wouldn't or they couldn't and they didn't give us this.
Right. I mean, granted, I understand that when Star Wars first came out, the idea of making like a 6 film saga, a 9 film saga wasn't really the norm back then. I mean, except for like B movies and things like that.
Mhm.
So it was clearly, it was clear that after the Return of the Jedi, it was kind of like, we're going to walk away from this now, you know. And then, when we heard we were getting a new trilogy and it was the prequels, it was kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, it was cool to see Jedi. But what you really expected to see when we got to the new trilogy that was going to take place after Return of the Jedi, you wanted to see a fully powered, like an omnipotent Luke Skywalker. And so when we get to the new trilogy and he's like a hermit that wants
He's
nothing to do with
a
the Force.
he's a cross between Ben Kenobi and Yoda from the original trilogy.
But not in a good way. The worst parts of those guys, like not like, because Ben Kenobi and Yoda were the greatest of the Jedi Knights, but he was emerging of Ben Kenobi on Tatooine as an old man and crazy Yoda on Dagobah. That he was emerging of those two. He wasn't like emerging of
Well,
Yoda fighting.
you know why Yoda was crazy on Dagobah, right?
Why was Yoda crazy on
Because
Dagobah?
Yaddle left him there. He didn't want to clean up that cave.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, so this finally gave us, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen on YouTube as well. There's this video where they actually recreated the fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, which was amazing. They
Mhm.
basically like did a deep fake of
It was
Alec Guinness's
digitally remastered to like
Alex Guinness's face was
yeah.
put on to, like, somebody wore the Darth Vader outfit. Somebody they digitally imposed Alec Guinness's face on a younger person, and the fight was amazing. I looked at that video like 30 times because that realistically, once you kind of understood what the Jedi battles would look like from when they created the prequels, then you had to reimagine. Well, that fight wouldn't just be them tapping lightsabers. That fight would have been them flipping and destroying everything around.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been, the fights you see two 4-year-olds with a lightsaber fighting outside, but that was before we had the technology that we have today.
Right. And so that being said, I want to say that I mean, the only complaint that I have about that scene, and understand this is a small complaint because I got Luke Skywalker. Like, game over. You have surpassed anything and every, like, this surpasses the prequels for me.
You know,
Luke Skywalker, yeah.
yeah, you know what it is? It's if I have to compare it to people today, it's like you see Avengers Endgame, right?
Right,
And you
right,
see how Avengers Endgame, the torch was more or less passed to Spider-Man.
right, yes,
Or Chadwick Boseman's character, the Black Panther, before he passed away.
right.
It would be like 20 years from now, we do a new Avengers and they call on Spider-Man and the Black Panther, and none of them ever picks up the hand to fight. Never picks up, never puts on a costume,
Yeah,
never uses the spider web,
that
never
would be,
puts on the Black Panther suit.
it'd be
It,
like, what was
it,
the point of this?
yeah,
Why did you, what was this for? Like, whose benefit was this for? So my only criticism, the only small criticism that I have is that I would have liked them. Because they used the deep fake technology to put a young Mark Hamill's face onto the body double or the action actor. And it was cool because we really got to see Luke Skywalker, but those deep fake.
we got to see Luke Skywalker in all his aura.
Yeah,
And all that power and mystique that we left with Return of the Jedi,
true.
we were able to see that.
But this is my criticism. I would have liked them to honestly have recast and have used, like, because everyone's saying Sebastian Stan because they look so similar, And I would have liked them to have done that, because if they would have went with a younger actor, what that would have opened the possibility to is more um, guest stars, like him stopping into Ahsoka and him stopping into Rangers of the Republic.
I'll say this. I'll say this. Disney reads Twitter.
They do. Clearly, they do. Because we've
They
been talking
read
about Luke
Twitter.
Skywalker from
They
2 years
do
ago.
read Twitter.
Yes.
So, and they are very reactive to Twitter.
I mean,
so
they
now,
should, in all honesty, they should have been reading Twitter from 2012. But okay, go ahead. Better late than never.
So the fact that they read it and they know that that's what fans that's what fans were longing for. It may have opened their doors to say, oh wow, maybe we could do something with a younger Luke Skywalker, and we can't de-age Mark Hamill for a film or a story or two. It'll be too crazy, and the cost won't justify the means. But maybe we can recast him in someone that we already have under our Marvel DC umbrella.
He's already under contract with Disney. I mean, he literally just finished the series. And the thing is, in all honesty, my sons and I are huge fans of the TV series Face Off. We know that if they really, really wanted to, they could just use some makeup and make him look exactly like Mark Hamill, because he's already got the bone structure. He's halfway there. It's just about
him. He favors him. He favors him a lot.
So it wouldn't take them a lot of makeup to really make him cross the threshold and not really need special effects.
And then if they do that'll be one Star Wars wish taken care of, and the second one will be, that trilogy that came out a couple years ago, that didn't really happen.
Another friend of mine, he is so sure that this last scene erases what we saw. Unfortunately, I don't feel like that, because I guess his position is, well, if you see Luke collecting people now, like, he would have had to have finished training Grogu before.
Some of them.
Right. Well, yeah. So it's not that there are no Jedi, but they're like kind of scattered. I don't feel like Kathleen Kennedy would admit that first trilogy was not great.
Well, you know what? Sometimes the best way to get over something is not to admit to it. Just act like it ain't never happened.
Listen, from your lips to God's ears. I
remember that Eddie Murphy joke? It wasn't me.
From your lips to God's ears. I hope if that happens, I pray that they do not, like, that they forget about that episode. But
no trilogy.
Yeah, well, we forget about the trilogy. I have a hard time believing it. But
I mean, think about it. How many times have they restarted Spider-Man in the past 20 years?
No, listen, this is my tactic. I have a habit of always being wrong. So I'm sitting here saying to you, they will never get rid of that trilogy. But hopefully,
I agree with that. Right on, bro.
So hopefully. No, they'll never do that. Every time I say that, you know what happens in the newspapers or online the next
day. So you're pulling a George Costanza, the opposite.
Yes, exactly.
I got you. So let's wrap up the episode. So so Luke comes in and he has the conversation. He tells everyone who he is, but Din Djarin turns to Grogu and he asks, "Do you want to go?" And Grogu says no. And Luke says he wants your permission for him to go. So Din Djarin says you can go with him. And then you have the scene that's going to make people cry for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
He picks up Grogu for that one last time and he takes his helmet off.
Letting Grogu see his face for the first time.
Exactly.
So, and then Luke walks then another special guest star.
R2-D2.
R2-D2 comes in. So you're like, what? We get Luke and R2?
And Grogu's like, oh shit, he got a bunch of knobs on him. I can tell
you. Exactly. So Luke and R2 take Grogu with them. And then we get an end credit scene, which is standard Disney.
Let me go back. So let me just go back to the scene one last time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that Moff Gideon didn't know who Luke Skywalker was,
We
and
don't know that.
Cara Dune.
We don't know. We don't know if. Well, we know why Cara Dune, because Cara Dune didn't know Luke Skywalker existed because Cara Dune had already left the Republic. Remember,
Okay,
she was kind of like a mercenary by that point in time. So I'm almost certain she wasn't like a rebel.
but Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, we don't know what he tried to kill himself, so he knew something. He saw that that Luke Skywalker was mowing through all the dark troopers, and then when he got to the door, he tried to blow his brains out. So I feel like he knew who he was. That's not the actions of someone who does not know. He knew that was the man who killed the Emperor, because the what's being told is that Luke killed the Emperor. So it's like, okay, well, the man that killed
But
the
how?
Emperor
But how
is
many
out.
people? How many people actually know that? Because they did blow it up.
Well, I mean, you got to think. He told, like, everyone, all the rebels think Luke did it, because Luke probably only told Leia that Vader did it. But then you can't really tell people that, because, like, well, why would Vader do that? And it's like, because he was trying to kill me. And it's like, well, why would Vader try to save you? And it's like, oh, because he's my dad. So the story would have to have been Luke killed the Emperor.
Which eventually does end up coming out. But
Right. But like and that's what I'm going off of. I'm going off of the novel Bloodline that you told me about. So I'm thinking, well, if no one knew that Vader was, everyone knew Luke and Leia were brother and sister. Everyone knew that. But
they
not
didn't. They did not find out until Ben Solo was about the age 16 that Darth Vader was Luke and Leia's father.
right. And but that being the case, then everyone had to have assumed that Luke killed the Emperor. And
Gotcha.
so if everyone thought that, then Moff Gideon, who knows everything, was running for his life, because the man that just killed the Emperor years ago was right outside his door. So that's why. So yeah, he knew.
Understood.
He knew. And so we have an end credit scene, which once again, it's like John Favreau was like, yo, I'm going to give you everything that you missed as a little kid. We jump back to Return of the Jedi, the beginning, when we go to Tatooine and we see Jabba the Hutt's palace. And now, instead of Jabba the Hutt sitting on his like flatbed throne, we see, I do not remember his name, but his right-hand man, the Twi'lek, who is now obese and sitting on his own large throne, telling everybody what to do. And then we hear shots being fired. And then we see somebody come down the stairs and shoots all of his security around him. And when they get downstairs, it is Fennec, played by Ming Na. And then we see Boba Fett come down the stairs. And I was like, oh, okay. And now the Twi'lek, who is now clearly the Hutt boss, is says, "Oh, Boba, I heard, it's good to see you. I heard so many stories about you." And then Boba shoots him in the chest. He tosses him out of the throne. Boba sits in the throne. Fennec stands behind him drinking some blue stuff. And
Tatooine has a lot of blue liquids that humanoids consume for some weird reason. I don't know.
And he consumed. She's drinking the blue stuff, and it's almost like reminiscent of Conan when Conan is sitting on his throne. And then it goes to black, and it goes, "The Book of Boba Fett, December 2021."
Now I'm hearing interesting things about it. That the name of the show is Mandalorian, meaning that it's never really supposed to be censored on one Mandalorian. Could the next season be completely about Boba Fett?
Well, Boba Fett isn't technically a Mandalorian. He's not even Death Watch. He's
Well,
completely.
listen, he's wearing that armor. He's wearing,
He is.
and I dare somebody to go tell him that he's not.
Well, what's her name? Snoop's niece did.
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks did, and they went toe to toe. I don't know. I would be disappointed if the Mandalorian switched to, now it's the Mandalorian season 3, the Book of Boba Fett. I'd be slightly disappointed because it wasn't like the first two were the Book of Din Djarin.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they would have introduced it like that, it would have prepped me for them to switch. But because they didn't prep it like that, it's kind of like it would feel a little like, oh, okay, this is what you do when you have contract issues. So I guess we got to deal with this. It wouldn't be bad because I mean the story still could probably be good, but it's just that Din Djarin is like, it's like a folk hero at this point. He's amazing. It's like, you know,
Pedro Pascal, the Red Viper.
Yeah, man. So
The
long
one
live Din Djarin. I
Yes.
would love to see him help Bo-Katan unite Mandalore.
I have a very strong feeling in the Force is not going to go that way.
I am very curious to see what direction they take because now he doesn't have Grogu. So it's like, what now? Like,
maybe he could take up the mantle of reuniting the tribes.
Be the Mandalore?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a big. I think he could do it, but that's going to be like 4 seasons because that's a hard thing to do.
However long it takes, but that's something he may want to. He may look at doing now.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts on the show.
I love this season. I give it 5 water coolers. I'm actually going to sit down and probably watch all 8 episodes back to back.
I agree. I also give it 5 water coolers. Once again, I feel like this episode alone basically renewed my faith. My faith was already renewed in Star Wars from The Mandalorian as a whole, but this last episode showed me that I am excited to see what the future brings. The future is going to just basically fulfill all of my expectations as a kid of where Star Wars could have gone, where Luke's story could have gone, where all the Jedi story could have gone. So I'm excited for the future again.
It looks as if they are not allowing directors to draw outside the margins.
Exactly. Which thank you.
Yeah. It's like this is the world. This is the world in which Star Wars exists.
Right.
Your film has to exist in this world, in this box.
Exactly.
There are some restraints. You could tell your story, but your story has to hit on X, Y, and Z. Not, I'm gonna go try something over here and do something. No.
Right.
Luke Skywalker is this, the Mandalorian is that, the Imperials are this. Right. You have to abide by those laws. And just how I wrote on our Twitter. You need to treat Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau like gangsters. When you're in their town, you need to go check in with them. Exactly. And Star Wars is their block. And if you're gonna be moving any product on that block, you need to check in.
Exactly. So that is this is the final episode of the Mandalorian review. We had a great time doing it. I think, and I'm just saying this out loud, I think we're probably going to pick this web series back up for, what is it? The WandaVision. The next Disney,
I'll have to see the first episode before I decide.
All right, well, we'll see. I'm thinking it's going to be for WandaVision. But all right, everybody, we will see you next week when we put out our podcast.
Peace, and thank you.
Peace.
You've been listening to Two Brothers at a Water Cooler with Mike and Tom, produced by Jamie Fernandez and Peter Bune. Rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, and you might find your review in a future episode.